Hey everyone, I'm Mackayla, and today on the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast, we have Hayden of Tigerwine.
Hello.
So your guys' album just came out. What was it kind of like getting ready for that release?
Oh man, it's been something else. It's been uh really, really exciting and nostalgic in a way. Like we went really, really, really hard for a very long time, it felt like, and we were just always out and touring and then, every second we were home, we were either booking tours or we were writing records or we were going and recording records and it was, a whole ton of fun. It was amazing and it was, one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Mhm.
But when COVID happened, we really slowed down and three of us have kids now and we all, we're living in different parts of the country to write and make this record. And, now we're still pretty separated. Two of us are back in the Springs now. And so it's like we haven't done anything in such a long time. And to put out the singles and like the little merch drops and stuff and have anyone outside of our close friends be excited about it was like we were just over the moon. So we just feel
Mhm.
grateful as hell, dude. It's really exciting.
Yeah, what do your families think of the new album?
My father is he taught me everything. He's an incredible musician and guitar player and singer, and he's always been super, super, super supportive. And like I've always kind of just sent him things and bounced stuff off of him, and talked about all kinds of stuff to do with the band with him. And so my parents are awesome, and my wife and daughter are awesome, and I think everybody else's families are stoked too. Like everyone has cool parents in
Mhm.
our band, so
That's good. I'm glad everybody's excited.
yeah.
How would you say that this album differs from previous albums?
This one is, I think, our most like on purpose, I would say, if
Mhm.
that makes any sense. I think that the first two full lengths, yeah, I mean, the first one we were children, we were little kids, and didn't really know who we wanted to be or what we wanted to sound like, and it really comes through, which obviously, every band full of 19, 20, 21 year olds that makes a record is going to sound like that. And sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's not as cool. And it's funny, I was just talking to Steve, my best buddy who plays guitar in our band. Today we were talking about what's our worst song? What's the song we hate? And threw a couple out there. We were just talking, and he eventually was like, you know what though? Every one of those is exactly who we were then.
Mhm.
And it's still like at least we took a shot at something and we didn't just do something um that we felt had already been done. I mean, people could disagree with that, absolutely, and I could see a case for that. But we
Yeah.
always felt like we made exactly what we wanted to make. And um this one is, I think, a continuation of that. I think that it also happens to be more accessible and more put together and more detail oriented. And I think we went exactly where we wanted to go on this one, whereas other ones we maybe kind of saw where it took us, and I don't regret that at all. But
Mhm.
I think this one we knew exactly what we wanted to do, and I'm really excited and happy with how we did execute it, at the risk of sounding like a turd. But
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Did you ever come to a conclusion on which song you don't like
I
or which
think,
is the least favorite?
oh man, I'm actually stoked you asked that. Because I think about it all the time. There's a song on our first full length called Rainier. And all of our song titles are inside jokes. And so Rainier is the sound that it makes like on Wayne's World when they like change scenes, like the guitar, like just like that's why we called it that, because it has a couple of those. And the the way that the song goes sucks. The melodies suck. The lyrics suck the most. And like I was like that record, if you've heard it, if anyone's heard it or you've listened to the lyrics, you know that I was in my enlightened centrist phase, and I was, everybody should just get along, and just a child playing with an incomplete playbook. And I just
Mhm.
cringed to listen to some of those lyrics and some of those topics I felt like I was really tackling, and I really felt like I had answers for that. Really was just, a kid thinking that he's smarter than he is, really.
I mean, I feel like everybody thinks that way at that age.
That's true. Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like you have to feel that way in order to realize that you don't know everything.
That's true. Yeah, that's actually really good. Yeah, that's true.
Part of growing up.
Yeah, definitely.
So you guys have been a band for quite a while. What advice would you give to people who are, trying to create a band and making sure that it does have some longevity to it?
Dang, that's a great question. Uh, well, first and foremost, forever, whenever there we like play with young kids or like get to like tour with or like play shows with gosh, that sentence sounded insane. Whenever we get to do shows and stuff with younger bands, and they ask me like, what did you guys do? And we always kind of say that two things. One, that we really kind of just fell ass backwards into relative success. Like, I mean, more than we could have ever dreamed of, but
Mhm,
compared to a lot of bands, not much, which is awesome. We're pumped about it. But that, and we always say like gratitude is everything. Like if
mhm,
you because it's really easy to hate touring and it's really easy to hate making records if you show up everywhere and you're timid or you're worried about what everybody thinks of you, or you're just like way too like you act like you've been there before too much, or you have a
mhm,
big head, or you think I don't know, there's a lot you could get into there, but we found that like every moment that we were on tour, we were just hanging out with our three best friends in the entire world, and we were having a ball and
mhm.
guaranteed like annoying the shit out of every band we ever toured with. We were just like out of our mind, like going like doing silly stuff, like and every band does stuff like that, but we just really felt like if you show up grateful every single night, you're gonna have a really good time,
Mhm,
regardless of whether or not you get any opportunities, which if you come in grateful, you will
mhm,
have like we've had a couple different like managers and agents who have told us stuff like, well, you can't just be nice and expect to have success. And we got to do a tour with As Cities Burn, our favorite, like two of our favorite band, two of us, and did like a Silent Planet thing too, which was very, very cool, like beyond what we could have ever dreamed of doing with this band, and like all because of relationships that we had and because we were nice to people. And
mhm.
I think I would so much rather that than well, it's I say that having not done huge shows and stuff. Like I really, really love the trajectory of like what happened with us. And I could, if we never made another thing or did another thing, I think we could call it a good run just because we showed up grateful to everything. And we have so many cool friendships and meaningful relationships with people that we just never would have had. So
Mhm,
I feel like a good thing to say would be um play music with people who you love and you care about, and that when it gets really tough, because it will if you're trying to do it seriously, it will get really tough, that you can be honest with and that you can express yourself in front of and not feel bad or not um, create weirdness, because that's like
mhm.
where bands die on tour, is when they just don't communicate and they don't
Yeah.
talk. And I mean, we've been there a few times too, and like um yeah, so just make music and do it seriously with people you really care about or that you can get there with. And yeah, just be grateful for every single thing that happens, because then every single thing that happens you'll be over the moon about, which we
Yeah, I feel like just in general, I feel like you can get more, like they say, you get more bees with honey.
sure.
That's right. That's the saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, yeah, there's a million times that, and I mean again, at the risk of sounding you know uh like a dork. Like there's a million times where we showed up to a place and it would be like the band we were on tour with or whoever would come out and be like, geez, the promoter's a dickhead or whatever. And we would like go in and we would just like, he was our best friend in like a couple minutes. My friend Steve, like I said, who plays guitar with us, is like the most like sweet and personable and like immediately on your level dude in the world, and he can just make anybody his buddy. So like I feel like there's a million times where it was just like, oh, this is going to be bad, and it was like, oh, we just you know idioted our way into into like it being okay. So
Yeah. I feel like when you're nice to someone, they're more willing to go above and beyond for you.
yeah, I guess that's probably true too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that goes both ways. And it probably you know has been a thing. Like I can think of again a million times where we have had people ask favors of us and we've just like tried to just blow the doors off, and yeah, that energy goes all around. And I think that yeah, it's really, 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 really important, and it doesn't get well, it probably gets talked about enough, but I don't know that everyone practices it very well. And not that we were perfect, but
Yeah. Because I mean, if somebody comes to you and they're really rude, you're more likely to do the bare minimum to make them happy.
yeah, for sure. We also, especially when we were younger, we were all huge people pleasers, and yeah, so it was like whether if the front of house guy was super nice, we were best buds. And if the front of house guy was super mean, we like made it our mission to like make him our friend. It doesn't always work, but it's so funny. Like I think we have a lot more self-respect now, and you know, things are not the same, but we were just little kids who just wanted everybody to like us.
So, do you have any favorite memories or favorite shows that you've played in the past?
Oh man, I always think of Dallas with As Cities Burn. It was fairly close to selling out. It was like one of the bigger rooms that we had played, and I remember we just showed up and we were just like, "Whoa, this is the coolest thing in the entire world." And that was also the day, and I think probably because the show was so awesome that was the night we decided to just open their bandwagon door and just walk in because we just kept on being like, "We want to hang," and you know, like they seem really cool and really
Mhm.
nice. Didn't want to because you never know when you're kind of feeling out a band you're on tour with. You just don't know if they're gonna be homies or not. Not that it's wrong if they don't, if they just keep to themselves. That's great too. But I remember, you know, we would in passing we would, you know, joke around or talk with them or whatever.
Mhm.
We're like, dang, they seem super cool. And so we just like jumped on. And Cody, who like it's so funny. I, you know, listened to him as a kid to learn how to sing in bands like this. And we just like opened the door and he's just like, finally. And that was just like a huge moment for us, I think. And it's so funny because they're just the most regular people ever. It's not like they're, you know, they're not like this insanely huge band in the grand scheme of things. They were just a big deal to us as kids, and it was just super full circle for them to be like um excited that we like, you know, got up the courage to go say hey, you know, like and that's like a small little thing. But I think of little things like that a lot, like tiny little interactions that happen that just never would have gotten to, or like people that you get to be around or meet or learn from that you never would have. And uh, yeah, I guess I just keep coming back to just like I'm so grateful for like every single thing that ever happened with this.
It's important to be grateful because otherwise you can forget about the small things that make hard,
That's true.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. Yeah.
How would you say that your sound has evolved since your first EP?
Oh man. It's definitely gotten easier to listen to, I feel. The first one was like we we really quickly signed with Blood and Ink, this like independent label from Richmond that doesn't exist anymore, but they just wanted something from us right away, and we just had no recorded music because we were just idiots. And we like we sent an email or like we responded to an email from a label. I mean, as small as it was, from to a starting a conversation with a label with no music is
Mhm.
hilarious. But they were like, yeah, so we want to put something out. And we were like, oh, you know, uh-oh. And so we like a buddy of ours like took time out of his schedule and did it really quickly, and we like we had to get it through. And um so that I think every single like dot on the timeline has been hit between then and now. Like I think we've been every single stage of a little bit better up to now, or at least I hope so. At least I hope the best stuff wasn't the first stuff. But yeah, I think when we first started, we thought we were going to be title fight or like a title fight, you know, uh, we always call it worship, like where when you like, you know, like you start like a title fight worship band where you
Mhm.
work that band and just kind of do whatever they do. And so, and we always thought that's what we wanted to do. And then every time we wrote something, it was always like kind of different. And I'm sure you can tell like that influence on the first thing. And we're like taking,
Definitely.
yeah, like taking what we had and what we were like, who kind of we were at the time, and then kind of like forcing it to try and be like fast, big, like music like that. And it doesn't, you can tell it kind of doesn't want to be. And so we like, I think at first we really tried to force a lot of stuff. And I mean, everyone does. That's what happens. But this one, I mean, the first couple songs on this or for that we wrote for this record were done in 2021. And so it's been a really long time and just like a really slow and like great process of making this one. And so it's like complete opposite of the first one where we were rushing really hard to get it out. And this one we were just like, cool, there's no rush at all. And you know, we can add and put everything we ever wanted in. Like Steve and I both, when COVID hit and we weren't able to tour anymore, we both just like got into audio and like producing and stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then now he, you know, moved out to Kansas City and was an engineer out there, and he just moved back, had a baby, so he just moved back, and I'm like licensing music now, and so just like we were able to make all these huge life changes, and like having kids, um, throughout the course of this record where like you know, it was a couple weeks when we started, and then the like Die With Your Tongue Out we wrote pretty quickly because we had added Shane, our drummer, to our band. Steve was on drums originally. We were a three-piece. And we added him to our band. We flew him out and we spent 2 weeks just like writing 80% of the record and just like boom, boom, boom. And then Nothing Is For You was also, we were touring really hard and it was came together pretty quickly. And this one was just not like that at all. We just
Mhm.
added every single thing we wanted to do, went every place we wanted to go. So yeah, it's a long-winded way to answer that. My bad. But
No, I like it. It's a good answer. Kind of explains everything from the start to now.
yeah, every single thing. Yeah.
So when you guys kind of first started writing these songs back in 2021, have they changed drastically till now?
Some 1,000,000%, some 0%. Like the song Prototypic, it was the second single. That song's been that song since day one.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And then there's songs like The Hammer Blow, which is uh has been through a million iterations. Um, what's another one? Like I think I if I want to say Eat Around the Mold is another song that like really transformed a ton and was like a completely different song to begin with, and then we just kind of stretched it and made it something slower and bigger, I guess. And yeah, and like the first song, Perennial, I think that's been basically the song since it was first done, and it's kind of just sat as a demo, and then we made it for real, and that was it. And
Mhm.
you know, whereas other ones, it was like, you know, complete overhaul, which is cool. It was really, really fun to get to have both of those happen on a record is really cool.
Yeah, so having with your first EP, having created something so quickly, and then with this one having more time, do you have a preference for what you prefer?
Oh, this for sure. Yeah. Being on tour and doing stuff really fast and all that is really fun in its own way. And I think I was able to hit it really hard more when I was in my early 20s and now in my early 30s. But definitely where I am now and the like my life now, having a 5-year-old uh and you know having a job finally, I think I would definitely, and what's probably what we'll do is going forward we'll just really take our time and just try to like make the coolest thing that we're like able to make.
Mhm.
Which and you know, being like, you know, a serious band and going really hard, I think produces some really beautiful and cool things, and I'm really grateful for that as well. But I think from here on in, we'll probably take her easy as far as writing goes.
Mhm.
I mean, who knows what will happen about playing shows or anything, if anything. But I think as far as writing, I don't think we're having had this experience. I don't think we're gonna rush it ever again.
Well, now you know which works best for you guys.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, so when you do go to write new music, what does that process look like for you?
It has changed a ton. When we first started, uh, you know, we none of us had any idea about like audio or Pro Tools or Logic or any of that stuff,
Mhm.
uh, and like, you know, how amps worked or how microphones worked or anything at all. And our first two records, no, actually the EP and the first two full lengths, we just were like, we're not gonna mess with that. We're not gonna demo. We're not gonna do that. We literally put like those little microphones that like reporters have with like the crossed mics coming out of them that
Mhm.
it's like at, you know, like if they're interviewing like an athlete or something.
Yeah.
And we just like stuck it in the middle of our practice space. We would just play through the entire record. So we had the whole record in our heads, and we would show up to record, which I now realize is insane. And God bless our uh our the people who made those records because they just had no clue. And you know, we just would show up and we would spend the first couple days um doing, we called it doing pre-production, which is hilarious because usually pre-production involves recording things. Um, and but really what it was spending the first 2 days just showing the engineer our album. And so, which it's so funny to talk about it now because I would never want to do that again because it's insane. But, um, yeah, so those times we kind of just showed up, and the first time anyone in the band heard vocals or lyrics was after I recorded them, and then it's in there. So like everyone had to trust that I wasn't going to say anything crazy. Um, yeah, and so for this one we we kind of learned I learned on Logic and Steve learned on Pro Tools, and so that was a thing where we were just like kind of sending, like kind of how the Postal Service did their first record or their only record, sending files back and forth, Steve and I
Mhm.
pretty much, and um, just passing ideas and adding stuff. And so like the first demos sound like were crazy because we were just like you know going back and forth and um, but yeah, most of it existed someplace now, so that we could really go over it and change things and do things differently. And yeah, it's which it's so funny to say that because every band in the world is like, yeah, dude, like that's how you're supposed to do it. And yeah, it's so funny. Like we just feel so enlightened to just arrive at the present, I guess.
Yeah, well, you learned all the ways not to do it, I guess.
It's true, and we really did them. We really did all the wrong ways, really good.
Yeah, so now that you kind of know the audio engineering side of things, does it change how you approach your music?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we got to be around some really, really great, smart people who were so, so generous with their experiences and their um like advice and teaching and stuff. And yeah, I mean, Steve's always kind of been like I said we didn't know how amps worked, but Steve always did. But the other two of us like really, learned as we went. I like when Steve and I first started playing music together, I like didn't know how to change guitar strings. I was like set or like 18 or something. And and it's fun. Like now I get to do music for a living because I was able to go out on tour and meet the baddest ass people on the planet and like get to learn from people who are so good at this. And now like I have a whole network of mentors and people like helping me, and I'm still learning so much every single day. And uh yeah, I don't know if that answers the question very well, but I think that like, well, maybe. Does that answer the question at all?
Kind of.
Oh man, where was I going? Ah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was headed with that. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So, what would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh man. I think, oh, that's a good one. There's a couple that come to mind. Maybe the most tellable in a story would be when we were doing vocal sessions for Die With Your Tongue Out at Glow in the Dark Studios in Atlanta. We were just like so stoked to be there, like just juiced up every single day. And I'm so nervous to like sing in front of Goldman. Like he made a couple of records that were really big for me as a kid. And
Mhm.
as wonderful as he is and as good of a pal as he is now, it's because it's silly to think about, but I was so nervous. I was out of my skin. Um and having no idea about audio or anything, like I said, just about everything uses pitch correction, just because it's become what everyone's ears are ready for and like they're
Mhm.
listening for, whether they realize it or not. um and almost always it's very subtle and very well done. And so we get done with the session. I think it was the very first one, and I walk in and he's got Melodyne. For those who know audio, it's a pitch correction plugin. And I went, oh shit. And he said, what's going on? And I said, well, I was hoping that I was like good enough not to need that. And just having no idea.
Mhm.
And he said, oh, no, no, no. Like, he's like, it's not because you're not good enough. He said, and he said, this goes for every part of every production, is that like, uh, we could sit here for 6 hours and you could get every single note perfect and the performance perfect and the feeling perfect and the tone perfect and the timbre perfect. Like
Mhm.
you and I both know that we could, and just prove something silly to ourselves that we already know.
Right.
Or we can just get a really good performance and just be in the moment and get excited and let the session go, weave around however it wants to go, and add everything that we want to add and just get excited about making the production. And then we can go back and fix a couple of pitch things that is like the most which I still say this to people. He's like, pitch is the most boring part of any vocal performance by far. There's so many more cool things. Like let's focus on all that. And then because if you know how to sing, like, you know, there's not going to be a million things you have to go back and fix. And so
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like we could, you know, prove that to ourselves and do all that crazy work and just feel horrible and have it just be sick of everything,
Yeah.
or we could have a ton of fun and have that show up in the recording and then you know grab a couple of things that weren't all the way right. So
And save some time.
yeah, absolutely. And get the record made. Yeah, exactly. Right.
And your voice.
Right. Yeah, for real. I'd be like done.
Yeah, so going along the track of advice, if you could go back to when you first started the band, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, wow, that's great. Great question. Oh, what would I tell myself? Hmm. I think I would tell myself you don't have the answers and that's fine. You don't have to lose your mind for, 8 years or whatever, like like thinking that you have the answers or like thinking you have any answers at all and trying to prove that to yourself and everyone around you. It's okay to not know stuff. It's okay to just be. I think I was coming to the end of uh like a kind of worldview that I really, really wanted to be bigger or to point to something bigger than it was. And the
Mhm.
song Wax Magnetic on this record is about that. Like wax magnetic means like when people wax poetic or like wax philosophical. Um, I was trying to convince myself that I was quote unquote, like, as the song goes, magnetic, and that there was bigger things that were drawn to me, and that I was, that I had to find a purpose for myself, and I had to have this
Mhm.
greater thing that was bigger than me. And I think I would say that just being here is enough, and just like getting to exist and getting to, and the experience. I think I would have enjoyed so many of the experiences that I had too more. Just being, it just would make me more present. I think to know that you don't like you don't have to be some like guru or like an expert on whatever or like know everything about anything. You just being here and getting to go on the ride is more than enough.
Mhm. I feel like that's something that like every 18, 19, whatever, however old, kind of struggles with because you look at adults and you are like, they know everything. They're experts. I have to be an expert. But
Sure.
in reality, everyone's just kind of figuring it out as they go along.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And also that's the thing that's funny about it too is now that I'm in my 30s, and it's funny because I bet I'll look back on this and think a similar thing, just
Mhm.
with different whatever. You end up knowing a lot about a couple of things by the time you turn 30, whether you want to or not, like so like you end up getting to get really well acquainted with a few things. Um, and you look back with a lot of perspective, so you don't have to like I said, try and convince both yourself and everybody else that you're a smart person. Like, I don't know, I just think that's so lame and useless now. Like that it was just everything to me back then, which is funny.
Like a lot of people go through that phase.
Yeah, for sure. Mine was really long, I think.
Yeah, so if you could describe this new album in 5 words, what would you
Oh,
say?
tall, blue, sandy, clouds, and circles.
Okay,
There you
I like it.
go. Some of them are sound things, and some of them are, I guess, content things. I don't
Yeah. I mean, it's up to you how you want to describe it. So as long
know.
as it makes sense to you.
Yeah, some of the guitar tones we just talked about a ton, just sounding like there's like sand in the guitar. Like I'm just some of the tones that Steve got are stupid cool. So I always think of just like nasty, but in the best way.
I like it. That's a cool way to describe the album.
Thanks.
Yeah. So before I ask the last question, was there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about today?
I mean, I don't know. Oh, I think I've been kind of just saying that like we're just so happy to have people reach out and, say nice things and, post about the songs and, hopefully, say stuff about the record and get people's thoughts. We went to put this thing out just with no expectation at all. And if no one listens to it, it's fine. And if a lot of people listen to it, great. But like we just with putting two songs out And obviously the record will be out by the time you're hearing this, but the reaction and the love, as drop in the bucket as it is in the grand scheme of things, has just been so cool, such a boost. It's we've just been over the moon about um anyone interacting with it at all because we're just really happy with it. And yeah, I don't want to go much further than that. I just know that if you interact with it at all and if you listen to it, just know that's the biggest deal in the world to us. Um, yeah, and like, not a ton like to promote being an older band. So, but also, what was the question that you asked that I just went on a tangent?
How audio engineering kind of changed how you approach your music.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I was way out of line.
That's okay. It was an interesting answer.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is that like you dive so much deeper. Um yeah, that's so funny. I got so lost. That's awesome. Yeah, you just go deeper and you get to do way more. And I think it's more fulfilling is the right answer to that. Thanks for hanging in there with me.
Yeah, no problem. It was interesting to see where you were kind of going with it.
Yeah.
So the last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
Oh man, like an album, you mean?
It is however you want to answer it.
Oh man, what is the soundtrack to my life? Dang. That's such a cool question. Hmm, what is the soundtrack to my life?
And all my interviews with it, and it always stumps everyone at first.
Okay. Well, good.
Everybody asks the same question, and I'm like, well, it's not my life, so I can't tell you what it is.
Word. Gotcha. Dang. Um, for some reason, I think of my grandparents. This is I don't know why I think of this, so I'm just gonna say it. But my grandparents own a bar in Johnstown, Nebraska. It's a town of 40 people that's outside the big city of Ainsworth, which has 1,700 people. And I when you asked that, I thought of this and I was like, that's insane. Don't say that. But like thought of my grandma likes to book bands and she has live bands come in and play for however many hours. And when I was a kid, I always thought it was funny that so many people were dancing in the room that you could just hear people's like boots and shoes hitting the ground
Mhm.
dancing over the band. And I like I always thought that was so cool and like, you know, unexpected, I guess. But that's the thing I think of. I don't know if that's any good at all.
I like it. I mean, it's your life.
Yeah, I guess it points a lot back to like being from really small towns and I don't know, just being grateful for that, I guess. Dang, I've used the word grateful way too much. That's cool.
Well, it's obvious you are very grateful.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like just belabor that as hard as I can.
So for people who want to stay updated on you guys, hear the album now that it's out, where can they find you?
Um, we are on Spotify and Apple Music, and we have I think there'll be three live videos at B24 in Kansas City of three of the songs and a snippet of another one. And yeah, so those are on YouTube. If you just search up, they'll be for Perennial, Wax Magnetic, and Prototypic, and then they're at the tagged onto one of them um, will be the intro to the album. It'll make sense when it's out. Will be Tulip is what it's called. Will be tacked onto the beginning of Perennial, like it is in the record. We're really excited about those. I should have said that earlier. Please go check out those. We're like they sound insane. Jeremy Worst at B24 in Kansas City is unreal, and just made them sound insane. Yeah. Other than that, we are doing. I don't know if it will still be up by the time it's out, but if it is, go to Fantasy Initiative on Instagram or our Instagram, I guess. And we have a merch drop. We have a huge merch drop happening with Fantasy Initiative. It's a friend of ours who he makes like he does it's like a clothing line and he also does home goods and stuff all with like dark fantasy designs and
Ooh,
um really cool. Like a bunch of stuff that looks like the old like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings covers and
very
like
cool.
all the like matte painting stuff is really cool. And he came alongside and took over all of the artistic direction for the record because we're horrible at that. And He's been amazing. So yeah, at Fantasy Initiative on Instagram. If the stuff is still live, you can get merch or you can get that's the only place you're going to be able to get vinyl if you want to get vinyl as well. So yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about it.
Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Listeners, go check them out and make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at STLIves Podcast. Thanks for joining us.